And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Tuesday. We got a lot to talk about on today's show, as we normally do, but before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized to become part of the show. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that's a great way to make the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you, the viewer. Once again, the link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And again, as always, it is displayed as well on the bottom with the ticker of the show segment. So, with that, let's get into what we are going to discuss today. As you could tell, I still am dealing with this cold. Definitely feel better than I did yesterday. Still a little congested, but we're gonna continue to roll. Of course, like I said yesterday, the show must go on. So we got a lot to talk about today. We'll talk about the Bills and the Broncos game from last night. Broncos upsetting the Bills. So we'll get into that in a moment. Then in the second segment, we're going to talk about the Bills and the fact that they're in trouble. They are really in trouble because their playoff hopes are starting to slip away here as we move along here in the second half of the regular season. And then in the third part of the show, we're going to talk about the Browns and their comeback win against the Ravens. And then we'll get into Josh Dobbs and his performance with the Vikings, his first start with the Vikings as the Vikings continue to roll. They are now 6-4 on the season. So more stuff from Week 10 as well. Because like I said, there were so many things that happened, and I wanted to give a lot of these games their own individual segment, their moment to shine. So, so that's the rundown for the show. So let's get right into the first topic, which is discussing last night's game between the Broncos and the Bills. So these two teams coming in, Broncos 3-5 on the season coming in, Bills 5-4. The Bills obviously coming off of a loss against the Bengals, Broncos coming in off of a bye, and the previous week they upset the Chiefs in Denver. So, and I thought the Bills were going to win this game. I thought it was going to be an ugly win, and it looked like it was going to be that towards the end there, but that was not the case. The Broncos with the upset of the Bills. And right off the bat, the start of this game, Bills start off with the ball, okay? And right away, the first play from scrimmage, James Cook fumbles. Josh Allen throws a pass to him. It's caught. Goes towards the sideline. Ball gets ripped away from him, and the Broncos already are in good field position. And I'm like, oh, no, here we go again with the Bills. And the Broncos, their first drive with that, all they did was just run the football. But they did end up getting a field goal out of it. Will Lutz kicked the field goal. And that put them up 3-0 to start the game. So then the Bills get the ball back. They're driving. And you're like, okay, here we go. I mean, that was a little hiccup there for the Bills. Let's see what they could do here. And what ends up happening? Josh Allen throws an interception. And it was a fastball. It was deflected off of Gabe Davis. And Justin Simmons ended up picking it off. And, again, not the start the Bills wanted. Broncos did nothing with that. They punted. The Bills punted. The Broncos punted. So that's how the first quarter ended. Then the Bills punted. A quick drive, 3 plays, 5 yards was their drive. And the drive lasted 1 minute and 37 seconds. Broncos got the ball, and they went 7 plays, 52 yards in almost 4 minutes. And Russell Wilson connected with Courtland Sutton for the touchdown. And let me just say, on that play, it looked like he was throwing it away. The Broncos went for it on 4th down. And Russ just threw it up, and it looked like it was going out of bounds. Courtland Sutton made the catch, but they ruled him out, the refs. It was incomplete. But Sutton went to the refs, and he was like, I caught that. And they showed on the replay, I mean, both toes, he dragged them just enough that it counted as a touchdown. So that was a great play. That was like a classic Russell Wilson play. I mean, listen, everybody watching that thought that was incomplete and that he was just throwing it away. But Sutton came out of nowhere, made the catch, and Broncos went up 9-0. They ended up missing the extra point. So, yeah, Then the Bills, 8 plays, 81 yards, 341 time of possession. They went down the field. Josh Allen connected with rookie Dalton Kincaid for a 22-yard touchdown. There was a penalty on the extra point, so the Bills decided to go for it for the 2, and they ended up getting it. Josh Allen connected with Gabe Davis for the 2-point conversion there. So it's 9-8. 9-8 at that point. Then the Broncos went down the field, kicked the field goal to go up 12-8. Josh Allen, first play, another interception. Fabian Moreau picked that off. Broncos cashed in, kicked the field goal to go up 15-8 at the half. Then in the third quarter, the Broncos punted to start off. Bills turnover on downs, and then the Broncos fumbled. And this play annoyed me because Russell Wilson puts more mustard on that throw. I can't believe I just said that, but yeah, he puts more air under that ball, and that's an easy first down for Cortland Sutton. And he ends up getting hit. The ball pops out. Bills recover. So they basically end up where they were, when they turned it over on downs on the previous drive. And because of that, the Bills capitalized. They went 7 plays, 54 yards, and they got their touchdown. Latavius Murray from 3 yards out. Broncos punted. Bills fumbled again. Josh Allen fumbled. It was a handoff to James Cook, I believe, and they just ended up not having a clean handoff there. And the ball ended up on the ground. Broncos recovered, but they punted on that. Then in the fourth quarter, Bills punted. Broncos get a touchdown. That was to Javonte Williams, which that actually made me lose one of my fantasy leagues by 0.65 because in my matchup I was going into this game I was up. I think I was up like 123 to like 96, like that. But with the point something to point something, whatever it was, and my opponent had Diggs and Javonte Williams. Now Diggs didn't really have a monster game yesterday, but he also had Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams actually had a good game, and because of that receiving touchdown, I ended up losing by 0.65. So if that was a rushing touchdown, I'd probably still win. So, and that was with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So, of course. And I started off 4-1 in that league. Now I'm 5-5. They went for, actually no, they didn't go for 2. They botched the extra point snap. So, so the score ended up being 21-15. And then the Bills, 6 plays, 75 yards, go down the field. Josh Allen rushing touchdown from 6 yards out, and the Bills go up by a point. And then on the final drive of the game, the Broncos go 10 plays, 57 yards in just about 2 minutes to kick the game-winning field goal by Will Lutz. And that was helped by Russell Wilson throwing up a prayer to Jerry Jeudy, and Taron Johnson was there on the coverage. And, it hung up there for so long, and he was catching up to the ball, and he didn't turn around, and he, held on to Jeudy, and then ended up being a pass interference. Broncos get into field goal range, and they ultimately win the game 24-22. And actually, I also forgot to mention, on the Bills' touchdown drive before that, James Cook had that long run for 42 yards, and it was funny, because he actually fumbled the ball and then picked it up and kept running. And he actually I thought he was going to score on that, but he ended up not. But, James Cook had a rough game. It looked like he was in the doghouse at one point. It was just a very sloppy game for the Bills. And they lose an ugly one, 24-22. And I just want to pull up the my graphic here because we're almost this show segment is almost done here. So these are the stats for the two quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, 24-29, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Josh Allen, 15 of 26, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. They also had the fumble as well. James Cook fumbled. So the Bills turned the ball over 4 times in this game. I mean, it was messy from the beginning, and just it just was not good. It was not good. And Stephon Diggs really didn't do much in this game, like I said. For the Bills, James Cook ran the ball for 109 yards, but again, he had the fumble, which was costly in the beginning. Latavius Murray had 68 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Josh Allen had 13 yards and a touchdown. Ty Johnson actually also got a carry in this game. I didn't even know he was on the Bills. 1 carry for 2 yards. Gabe Davis was their leading receiver, 2 receptions for 56 yards. Dalton Kincaid had 5 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs had 3 for 34. Shakir had 1 for 24. And then on the Broncos side, Javonte Williams, 21 carries, 79 yards rushing. Russell Wilson carried the ball 9 times for 30 yards. Cortland Sutton, their leading receiver, 8 receptions, 53 yards. Again, that great touchdown grab. Jerry Jeudy had 3 for 35. Samandre Perine was involved in the passing game a little bit, 3 for 35. Russell Wilson had a couple of shuffle passes to him when he looked like he was about to get sacked. But yeah, threw to a lot of different receivers last night. But yeah, Broncos win 24-22. And, I mean, credit to Denver. You know, this was a team that looked like they were going to have one of the worst records in the NFL. They started off the season 1-5. Their points per game, in terms of their defense, they were giving up an average of 33.3 points per game. Their turnover margin was -5. Their last 3 games, 3-0. They're giving up 16 points per game, and their turnover margin is +8 now. This is what the graphics ESPN posted last night. And then for the Bills, their season outlook right now, they got a 33, according to ESPN, 33% chance of making the playoffs, 14% to win the AFC East, and 2% to win the Super Bowl. But, I mean, we don't really have to talk about the Super Bowl. I don't really think they're going to win the Super Bowl even before this. But, yeah, and at their home stadium, they started off 4-0, 31 points per game, 3 turnovers, and then last night a loss. They scored 22 points, and they had 4 turnovers in total for the game. In the previous 4, they only had 3. So, yeah, I mean, not good for the Bills. Their playoff hopes are slipping away, and we're going to talk about that more in the next segment. But, I mean, credit to the Broncos. They're 4-5 now. They're kind of a part of that playoff conversation. You know, I mean, I don't think they are going to make the playoffs. But, you saw some good things. Obviously, Russell Wilson's not lighting up the stat sheet, and one of the things they talked about is how they're just running the football more. Because, I mean, I was frustrated in the beginning when, you get that turnover, off of James Cook fumbling to start the game, and all you do is just run the football. They got points out of it, but, but again, I didn't think the Broncos were going to win, and this is an offense that does tend to struggle to score points. So I was like, go for the kill shot. Get 7 or get 6, and then you get 7 with the extra point. But you know what? They won the game. Their defense has been playing really well. But I will say, I think a lot of this also had to do with the fact that the Bills were just sloppy. I mean, James Cook couldn't hold on to the football. I mean, on that huge run, like I said, he fumbled the ball. He was lucky he picked it up. Otherwise, the Broncos get that, and the Bills don't even go ahead at that point. But, I mean, they still lost the game. And Josh Allen just continues to turn the football over. And that is a problem. And, talking with my friends last night, Brett Favre is a great comparison to Josh Allen because he's a gunslinger. And you know what? That offense could click on a drive, but on another drive, he could turn the ball over. And that's exactly what happened last night. And if that continues to happen, I mean, the Bills, it's not looking good right now. And we're going to get into that more in the next segment because we got to talk about the Bills more because they're in trouble. They're in trouble, as the segment says here. So that's a little tease for what we're going to talk about. We'll continue our discussion with the Bills when we come back from our first break of the show. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.